Jesse from the YouTube channel Still It, link in the description below. Did you bring the artifact?
Do you mean?
Yes, the Whiskey Spirit Eagle Decanter of Balance. Are you ready to put the plan into motion? The chosen one. Will you help me reclaim my throne?
What's in it for me?
Truly, you are a mooch guy. Jesse from Still It, all the way in from freaking New Zealand.
Yeah.
Jesse, in New Zealand, the laws about home distilling are very different.
100% legal. You can't give it away, you can't trade it, you certainly can't sell it. Technically, I'm not even allowed to let my wife drink it. I talked to customs, and they said that it was cool for me to submit samples to experts to check that it is as it should be.
Ah, yes. So we're totally legal. Obviously, check your nation's laws before you go down this path.
Now just view this as your chance to prep your starter kit for after you've finally gotten your license and you're trying to scale up your craft distillery.
Or just a way to learn how to love whiskey more. The more you understand, the more enjoyable it is.
Okay, so Jesse, just do kind of the broad strokes, the highlight reel, the tips, the tools, and the common mistakes people make whenever they're starting with home distilling, yeah?
Yeah. In New Zealand, we're very close to England, so we're kind of honor bound to bring things.
Oh, right.
Bring places.
Oh, look at that. So first of all, this is a whiskey from New Zealand, and the reason that I brought it is that it is smoked with a native New Zealand wood. Rex's ability to improve his tasting.
Oh yeah,
you have to agree, right?
Is it a space side?
But I don't think anyone has seen Daniel's ability to mooch yet.
Oh, well.
So, that's Rex's whiskey.
And I have to figure out how to get it. Damn it.
I've also got a little something for you.
Yeah.
Hobbits can.
Hobbits can too.
Okay.
Now I'm prepared.
So the equipment, the tools, what are we starting with here?
Well, I mean, you can spend as like the sky's the limit with the amount of money you want to spend.
Yeah.
It's one of those hobbies that if you catch the bug, you are hooked. And you will upgrade equipment, but in saying that, there's no reason to go crazy.
Assuming you can get your grain milled somewhere. Boiler, fermenter, and still. On your channel, you're using stuff that you're piecing together. You're doing research for every individual component that's going into your setup.
Yeah.
Would you recommend a beginner start out that way, or should a beginner just get something off the shelf?
These things are a great way to start, and there's a few modifications you can make to make them even better. If you're pretty sure you want to dive into the hobby, you know, a little bit more seriously, I'd kind of suggest looking at starting with a 2-inch setup and make it modular. So use tri-clamps for everything.
2-inch setup, make it modular, tri-clamps for everything.
Here.
So you're talking about stuff that can be more customized. Okay.
So what it means is that everything just comes apart super easily.
Yeah.
So if you want to upgrade, if you want to change things, anything you want to take apart and put back together, and you can upgrade easily.
Right.
You don't have to start from scratch.
Let's just start with the kettle. What's a decent size and what should they be looking for?
I'd recommend aiming for about 50 liters, 40 liters, 50 liters.
10 to 15 gallons.
I'd suggest going more just brew in a bag, which is literally you put everything in a bag and you soak it in water, you pull the bag out and strain it. If you're not using corn, if you're doing single malt, you literally just need a pot and some blankets to throw over the top to keep it warm.
Even something like this, as long as you have a temperature control to know, and as long as you can control the heat on the bottom so you don't like roast the stuff.
What beyond those 3 main pieces of equipment am I looking at?
The ingredients themselves are probably the first step. Like you guys, I know are totally converted on this idea, but there's some in the distilling world that tend to think that ingredients don't really matter, and all you're doing is making alcohol.
Oh, you're just looking for like a sugar mash, and get the highest alcohol you possibly can. Now, this is something that I didn't know was a phrase until I started studying it. What do people in the industry mean when they say all grain?
They mean literally all the sugar comes from grain. And it's 100% a home brewing term. In my mind, everything up until you put it in the still, you could probably learn more from the home brewers than the home distillers.
Although they will also nerd out on things that won't really affect you.
They will freak out.
Because in beer, that's really important.
Mostly from there, a few little things to help quantify what you're doing, so things to measure. A refractometer, eyeglass thing you can look through, you put a drop on the end to see how much sugar is in it.
Once you start actually distilling, you want to know like what alcohol content is coming off of here, and that's where you have the things that will float, or if you're super nerdy or own a distillery where you can just take a quick sample and it will tell you exactly what's going on.
Some people have seen us use this in the channel.
Yeah, this is a Snap 50 from Anton Parr. They make a stationary one that costs like $10,000. They make this one that costs about $3,000.
Just pretty freaking sexy.
Yeah.
But complete overkill.
Yep.
For a home distiller.
Yep.
You can get a precision set of 3 of these for like 15 bucks. 2 different types of glass you're gonna need. One is you want cuts jars. And honestly, the best way to buy that is with peanut butter or jam or whatever in it. But start collecting them now, because if you're running a 50-litre still, you're going to need 40 at least of them. The second thing you're going to need glass for is to store the stuff in, and on the size that we're making stuff, it's pretty hard to use actual barrels. So what you do is you put the spirit inside a glass jar, you seal the glass jar with a little piece of oak inside it, which is actually cool because it lets you experiment with surface area to volume ratio as well.
What do you recommend? What are some good places to go if you want to dive deeper?
When I started researching it, I found, you know, dozens upon dozens of forums, and it took me 6 months to narrow down which ones were like, oh, these are real.
Yeah.
And these people are crazy.
For anyone getting into this, I recommend finding it at least 3 different places, because there is so much discussion, debate, fights about certain things. So you want to cross-reference your information from anywhere. Obviously, come check my channel out, Still It. I'll help you out. Number 2, there's a place called Barley and Hops, another YouTube channel. Number 3 is the Home Distiller Forum. The last place I have to recommend is the Firewater subreddit. They're absolutely awesome. The mods and there's a couple of go-to guys in there that have just got an amazing abundance of knowledge, so make sure you check that out.
So we're in the barrel warehouse and we're talking about just some basic tips, yeah? Tell us about your tip, Dan.
You don't want that. You just gotta line up the bunghole correctly.
You got all the equipment, you're excited, you want to dive in here. Now, how likely is it that I do something that makes me blow up or go blind?
When does it become dangerous?
You?
Yeah. Oh, the normal human being.
Because you're screwed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's not tiddlywinks. It's not a hobby that you can rip into without any learning, without proper respect for the safety tips. But if you follow the safety laws, the safety commandments, it really is a safe hobby.
So what are the odds of going blind?
0.
Yeah. Explain that, because that's a myth that is so pervasive.
So here's the thing, guys. A still cannot create anything. All it does is separate things from other things. So if the wash, the beer, the wine, whatever it is that you're putting into the still is safe to drink, then the stuff coming out the other side of the still is also safe to drink. If you just make whiskey that tastes good, you don't have to worry about any of it.
Yeah. And tasting it to find out is never gonna cause a problem for you. Now, how can you blow up?
Oh, now that is a little bit more serious.
It really
because if it's in vapor form with the right mixture of oxygen, not so great.
I will tell you, my first reaction to it when I got in was fear and trepidation. Of like, there's so much to know, and I feel like anything I do, I might do it wrong.
Yeah.
And so what's the mental approach to getting into this that you think is a healthy one?
If you're not the sort of person that wants to learn, it may not be for you, because no matter how far you get, there's always something more to learn.
Obviously, the deep dives, the details they can get from these sources that we mentioned earlier, including your channel. I'm gonna go through some rapid fire, in 5 seconds or less, the most helpful tip.
You've got 30 seconds.
What is the best practice you can give us for ingredients?
Crap in, crap out.
Mash.
Ooh, science.
Fermenting.
Be careful, but don't stress.
Distillation.
Ooh, long, slow runs and taste it.
Cuts and blending.
Oh, keep tasting it. Do it all by flavor.
Aging.
Get patient. Get really patient.
All right.
7 seconds to spare.
All right, that's it. Jesse, which would you rather get into?
It's fruity. Passion fruit and melon?
Yeah.
Oh no!
So we've talked about the tools, we've talked about the tips and things to get started, but a lot of it's just gonna come down to learning curve.
It's super steep and then tapers right off.
Okay.
Once you're there.
Whenever somebody has decided they want to distill their own whiskey because they're in a country where it's totally legal,
New Zealand.
they'd be comparing how good of a spirit can you realistically make at home. compared to these places with huge pieces of equipment
Yeah.
and budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah. How comparable is this stuff?
So I'm assuming most of you guys want to make whiskey, right? In my opinion, the
Yeah.
white spirits
Yeah.
can kick the ass off commercial spirits.
Really?
Like destroy them.
Wow.
Because
Them is strong words, man.
Biden word.
because a home distiller can be not greedy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. They
not
can go
flushing
for
money
quality
away.
over quantity, and they don't need to scale.
But he qualified that. He said
New
White
make.
spirits.
Yeah, white
so
spirit.
Aged.
Yeah, man. And I don't have 10 years of my life.
Well, in large barrel and barrel sizes, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think you're
So
right.
that's a little tricky.
You can't compete with the old whiskey, but you can compete with the quality things that become old whiskeys.
Okay, so Daniel put in some drops of water.
We can talk about that later.
He's getting a spanking.
Yeah.
So if you want
So
to
what
get
did it?
a deep dive into home distilling, the equipment, even the culture, the resources, tips, best practices, you get a lot more in Jesse's channel. Don't get arrested. Here's to not getting arrested.
Not getting arrested. Cheers.
He suspects nothing.
Everyone knows the only way you can defeat a hobbit is to bring a artifact from its homeland.
That is very common knowledge.
All the way from the True Shire in New Zealand. The decanter of balance.
Yes. You have done well, Jesse of the New Zealand. Now, in and of itself, it's simply a crystal bird. But when filled with the most precious whiskeys of the Brotherhood of the Mooge, it becomes something new altogether.
I have the sacred parchment detailing the schemes.
Have the aforementioned whiskey mooches included the required sacrifice?
Each of the Knights of the Brotherhood have donated 2 of their most precious whiskeys.
Bring them to me. Any day now.
They're coming.
Why? I don't understand why you're moving so slowly.
Patience, your moochiness.
No, it's not heavy, Jesse, is my point. It's something you can move much more quickly.
I left one behind your
Here,
moochiness.
I'll meet you halfway. Here, there. There we go. Are you drunk?
We bop and hippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be.